All right, we're in. Do you hear that, Mevo? Hey, welcome to the Fireside Tattoo Network. We are we're on the final stretch of the Evergreen Tattoo Invitational. My name is Jake. This is Nate Laff of Rev23. We're going to talk about where that name came from. I already know.
Okay.
But they don't know.
They don't know. It's not a very interesting story, really. But
well, it's kind of interesting because you. So whenever I was first introduced to you, it was Tattoo Management Studio,
yes.
right? Which makes a lot more sense with the industry.
Yeah.
But then you just pulled a U-turn and went
full on Rev23.
Rev23. So Rev23 was like a domain name you already owned or something.
Yeah,
it
was a band that I was in back in the early 20s.
That's awesome.
I was a lead guitarist for a metal band in Denver, Colorado. We needed to change our name real quick, and we decided, like, after a little bit of deliberation, it's like, what's the last revelation in the Bible, man? 22. All right, it's 23.
Nice.
And wrote it down. It's like, all right. So we alternated between, like, Revelation 23 and Rev 23. But we bought the domain name, which back then were like, a couple $100, $100 at least, not 99 cents like they are now.
Yeah.
So I kept it, and we broke up, eventually, like things do. But I kept it. And once I got into software development stuff, I needed somewhere to upload just the code I was working on. And just it hung around, yeah. And then what became Rev23, the tattoo stuff, it was just terrible marketing on my part. It was really bad. It was Rev23 Development was the company, and then Tattoo Management Studio was the product.
Right.
Which was a play on, it's a database-driven, application. So SQL Server Management Studio is a product from Microsoft. So it's like, all right, I need the word management and studio, so Tattoo Management Studio.
Yeah.
And I figured people would get the Rev23 is the company, like Microsoft, and then Tattoo Management Studio is the software.
You gave them too much credit.
Yeah, there was way too many words.
Yeah.
17 too many syllables.
Yeah. We fought that same battle from the Fireside Tats, and then everybody like the first time anyone hears the word tat, they're like, oh, I want nothing to do with anything you're doing. We're like, yeah, but it's tongue-in-cheek. It's a play on words. Then finally we got rid of it, and then Tattoo Improvement Network, and now Fireside Tattoo Network. We like to bounce around, too, so you're in good company.
Yeah, so, everybody would call it the wrong thing. It was like Tattoo Software Management Studio, Tattoo Studio Management, and nobody got it right. There were a good number of people that just called it Rev23, and finally it was time last year to just after 8 years of that name, I was 7 at the time, just like, all right, double down on Rev23 and just let it fly. So I think it's gone well.
So for people who don't know what you do, what is Rev23?
All right, Rev23 is a software package for Windows PC. It's designed to kind of just improve the workflow of a tattoo shop. So appointment scheduling, deposit tracking, paperless release forms. It's got a point of sale in there with like integrated credit card processing, inventory control, pretty much everything you need to kind of just get the shop nice, well, and organized. Russ Abbott first introduced it to me. I don't know if we were podcasting at Ink and Dagger or I was tattooing down there or something, and he had, I think we were podcasting because he had made a list of some inks that he had used on a particular tattoo, this big piece he was working on, and he had handed it to his shop manager to input so that he would know what he was using the next time. I was like, oh, what are you using you have like a system that keeps up with your inks? And he was like, yeah, just put it in the notes of whatever that's attached to this person in his Tattoo Management Studio. And so I went straight home and downloaded a free trial of it. Of course, I'm a one-person studio, and I did the free trial and realized, like, well, this is it's a bit overwhelming. It's a little bit solo. It's a lot for one person. But now when we were just talking the other day about it, about being able to, or the possibility of tapering it down for someone like me, because I am paying Square Scheduler $30 or $40 a month just to handle my schedule. I'm paying QuickBooks every single month. I have all these separate things that have to work together, and so then you start going, well, like, do I necessarily have to use everything in Rev23, or could I just use part of it? You can kind of just componentize it and use the pieces that you need. I've got plenty of one-man bands that do everything, but I've got some stuff in the works that I think is going to be especially targeted to people in that situation.
Yeah.
Do you find that has that been a demand? I mean, have you noticed that people are like, oh, it's awesome, it's more than I need?
I think I'm seeing a trend of people that, I think the bigger shops, especially the guys that have multiple studios, like just almost enterprise type stuff.
Yeah.
I'm seeing less of those kind of things open up, and it's going more to private studio stuff where it's the artist kind of just dealing with themselves. So I've seen the trend there, and I'm going to respond to that the way that it needs to.
Any idea what that looks like? Is it something you're already working on? It's all right there.
It's in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know it's got to happen, and that's the plan. I'm working on a new version of Rev23 desktop, which is the PC version of the software, and that was kind of one of the other reasons we did it. Was I wanted to differentiate Tattoo Management Studio when we named it. It's like, all right, let's call Rev23 desktop that's the PC version, as it's running on the Windows desktop, and then Rev23 whatever comes after that is going to be kind of the cloud-based stuff. So
gotcha.
wanted a bit of a differentiator there.
Yeah. So what's kept it Windows-based so far?
Mac is awesome for media consumption and creation. Windows is great for business software.
Yeah.
They're back, especially back in the day. If you look at the reviews for like QuickBooks for Mac, like you go to Amazon, look at QuickBooks for Mac reviews, and it was all like, this is terrible. I had to buy a PC just to run QuickBooks. So, somebody like Intuit who has billions of dollars behind them, if they couldn't get it right, I'm one dude.
It's a real uphill battle for you.
I taught myself how to code in my parents' basement when I was 12 years old. So that's.
So go back to how did you end up choosing the tattoo industry to design this for?
I had a buddy that was a tattoo artist, and I would go into a shop and he'd tattoo me, and I would just kind of see, that's what programmers do is we kind of look at problems. It's like, okay, what can we solve here? So there was especially stuff. It was, actually it kind of started as not software, but something that Icon ended up doing later, which was time tracking on the tattoo machine.
Okay.
So he had this idea to do that kind of stuff. Like, all right, let's track how long this machine's actually on. We ditched that, but I saw the need for other stuff as I was in the shop talking to him about that all the time. And it's like, every time I'm in here, you take my ID, you do a release form. It's like we can simplify this. I'm looking at the back of my ID. It's like there's data on here. There's a barcode. There's a swipe. I bet there's stuff on here.
Yeah.
Swiped it, and it's like, there's stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like everything you need for a release form is right on that ID. Let's make this instant, and bam. So started working on that, and just kind of started seeing the problems, and then kind of veered off from there.
Yeah.
I always loved this industry. I feel like I was supposed to be a tattoo artist.
Yeah.
Back when I was a kid, especially, everybody's like, "Oh, Nate's an amazing artist," and I was always drawing, and anytime in school, I could flip over. I'd do my schoolwork, and I'd flip over the page and start sketching stuff.
Yeah.
And every single parent-teacher conference, they're like, Nate he'd be a really good student if he spent more time on the front of the paper than he did the back of the paper.
Yeah.
But then around 12, I just kind of peaked out, and I never really got better as an artist. So I draw something now. It looks like a kind of awesome 12-year-old drew it. But it's about as far as I was able to go.
Yeah.
But I was able to find something, bring what I'm able to do and bring it to an industry that I love and wanted to be a part of. So
yeah, and I'm sure you know this probably as well as anyone. It's amazing how supportive tattooers are of like entrepreneurs that are genuinely invested in tattooing.
Yeah, you have to be genuine about it.
Yeah,
and that's one of the things I've definitely known. I've been doing this I started it 10 years ago. I released the first version March 1st of 2010, so it's been around just over 8 years.
Yeah.
And people will ask sometimes, like, "Hey, how'd you get there?" Just like we did here, and I tell them, and I think people see like, "Oh yeah, okay, he at least." I'm not in this for the money. Let's put it that way. Like,
yeah, right.
It's Rev23 is a passion of love over the dollars. So
yeah, and it's it obviously is working because I can't tell you how many people I've heard. Well, we just had Tommy Altman on yesterday, and he gave you guys a shout out about how we were talking about We actually talked a little bit about Brandon Williams went and helped
okay.
them out a little bit, and he mentioned how much Rev23 did to help his business. Just to start tracking what they were actually doing and doing well and not doing well. And then, the first time that we met, like when we met at Impact last year, I didn't know, I had never heard of Rev23. I'd heard of Tattoo Management Studio. And then I see, people are asking for photo ops and stuff like that. And I saw him walk up to you asking for photo ops, and I'm like, I don't know that guy. Who is he? They're like, oh, he developed our software. I was like, what?
Yeah, that was weird. I've never been in that, but it's like, you want a picture with it? No. Is Nick Baxter standing behind me? No, it's me. Okay. Yeah, that was a little weird.
But look at that. That's pretty impressive that they're like, oh, yeah, they thought enough of you. You're at a tattoo convention as a software developer, and people are like, you changed our whole shop.
People still do. People ask me for photos in my booth quite often.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I don't know why you wouldn't want a picture with this face, but sure, yeah.
Yeah. Well, what do you see, if anything? I mean, is the future just kind of continuing to recognize the incremental changes that need to be made to it? Do you see it? Do you have any goals of taking over the tattoo industry from a technology standpoint?
That's the plan. Yeah, a lot of a lot of the stuff that's out there. If you start getting on the Google machine and type in tattoo management software or whatever, or tattoo studio software, what you're going to find is salon software. And they take salon software, they change the logo, they change the name, and they slap it up there. And it's I really don't like that as just a person who respects this industry. And I think a lot of people don't know that that's the case. I think once they realize, wait, my software that I use now is salon software, and I think they'd start to recognize it once they look for the clues.
Yeah.
But
what would be a couple of big differences in salon software and Rev23?
So release forms is one. A salon doesn't have any concept of release forms. They don't have any concept of deposits. There's no real differentiator in how commissions are done. I do a lot of advanced commission tracking where if they've got a big shop, they can do people call them sliding scale commissions. Where you do $0 to $2,000, you get 55%. You go above $2,000, you get 60%. So it does a lot of incentive-based stuff like that.
Gotcha.
So it's very just industry-specific stuff, especially in the inventory tracking of jewelry. I get very specific on the piercing side.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, that was something I hadn't even thought of because I was dealing with piercing. One thing that that I've heard people say when they're talking about you is that how you're able to, or you're willing to to tweak something in one way or another. Your customer service is really top notch because you work with almost everyone individually. Is that something you can continue to do going forward?
Yeah, what I do, I don't make really super specific changes to the software. I have to kind of vet it as far as, okay, somebody wants this. Does this serve the greater good, or is this something super isolated to what you do?
Yeah.
And in that case, it's kind of harder for me to justify the time cost. The software has been essentially built by the industry. Everybody telling me this is what we need rather than me telling you this is what you need.
Yeah.
So I get a lot of good feedback. I've got a lot of awesome users that just are passionate about it, like you were saying.
Yeah.
That just want to see it as the best that it can be, and that's what I'm always striving to do. It's my baby. I started coding it about 10 years ago.
Yeah. I lost my train of thought right there for a second. Do you? How many people use it? How many shops is it in right now? Do you have any idea?
Somewhere in the 300s.
Okay.
I would say maybe just shy of 300. Some people come, some people go, and it's not like you said. It's not for everybody. Somebody will come find it and be like, okay, we'll try it out for a little bit, and they maybe do a subscription for a while. It's like, okay, this doesn't suit exactly what I need. Maybe they're a private studio. They're just one guy.
Yeah.
So
so there's plenty of room. I mean, there's plenty of room to grow. Do you have any idea of how you might scale it if you do find that you go from 300 to 1,000?
Yeah,
or 5,000?
Oh, yeah.
No.
What I really love about what I do is being able to talk to everybody. I kind of have a personal relationship with, and it's become somewhat difficult to track at this point.
Yeah.
Backtracking slightly. Back in 2012, Rev23 was acquired by Painful Pleasures.
Oh, okay.
I built this. I had a relationship with them because they had this running in 2 of their shops, and they wanted to help me build it the best that I could. I think what they really wanted was to see it not go away, because a lot of things have popped up in recent years, especially. I think as tattooing has really started to become part of popular culture in general. Of course, the vultures see it and it's like, oh, money. So they start sniffing it out. But, there's back to the genuine stuff. I think people can sniff the, it's like this is just some guy looking for money. Whereas I'm trying to make the industry better. So Painful Pleasures wanted that to not go away, because a lot of them do. They pop up and then it's like, oh, there's no money here, and they disappear. There's overhead. There's stuff that you've got to pay for that, cost money.
Yeah.
So to make sure it didn't disappear, they took Rev23 as the company over. They kind of brought me into that company, which I love Painful Pleasures. Everybody there is awesome.
Yeah.
So they've been really good to me.
Well, what size company are they? What are they?
I don't know where they're at now. Actually, they're out in Hanover, Maryland.
Okay.
They're just industry supplier out there. They're less than 50.
Okay.
Yeah, they've got a gigantic warehouse though. It's quite impressive what they've got.
Yeah. So are you still, as far as creative control and stuff like that, you're still making most of the decisions as far as how the software, what happens within the program itself?
Yeah, that's all still me just talking directly to my users. So back when they first got everything, it's like, let's try to streamline this as much as we can. They let me just kind of focus on the development side, and then the support, the tech support side went on to, we hired somebody to deal with that.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, somebody poached her from me at a party. Somebody said, what do you do? And she said, you told them, and they offered her a job that I couldn't match. Okay, we lost her. So it went back to me, but in the maybe 3 years that we had her, I really kind of missed the connection that I had with users. So it kind of was a blessing in disguise there, where I got to come back into the fold and start doing conventions and stuff again.
Yeah.
And really start connecting with people. So while it seemed like a good idea at the time to let me have a buffer, I never wanted to be the face of Rev23. I'm kind of socially awkward. I don't know if we get along well.
Yeah, I've noticed that. But
it was not. I wasn't intended to be the salesperson for this ever.
Yeah.
I'm a software developer, and usually they lock guys like me in a dark room, and we don't see the light of day. But in this case, there's nobody that can do it like I can, and that has the passion for it like I do. So I go talk, and works out well.
Yeah. So as of now, there's no plan to replace her. You're going to keep this role?
No, go. Yeah, I kind of do email support only. Send me an email first, and then I respond. And if it's something where it's this is going to be easier for me to get on the phone, I hop on the phone and kind of start building connections that way. So but I try to funnel in as much as I can through email, because I've always got my phone, I've always got something, and it's like, oh yeah, all right, that's how you fix that, bam, go. Much faster than waiting for me to hop on the phone.
Yeah. So if someone's interested in checking it out, do you do trials?
Yeah, there's a 14-day free trial, which is a bit of an arbitrary number. Usually it's 30. Because like you said, sometimes you get in there and it's like, this is a little overwhelming for me. Like, I try to give them a timeline of like, this is how much I want you to try to learn as much as you can in this period, instead of I'll do a little bit here, a little bit here. I really try to focus in on like, look, take the time to learn it, so you can see how much it will automate your process. And then I feel like that's where it really clicks for them. Like, okay, this is going to work for me. So.
Is there, maybe it already exists, but is there any chance of it going mobile, of being able to use a mobile app to do it?
That's the plan.
That's the plan going forward.
Yep. That's obviously where this industry's headed. You come to a tattoo convention now, which back when I started, the iPhone didn't even exist when I first started writing the code for this thing. It was Windows kind of dominated, and that was about it. And then I released, and then right somewhere in middle development. That's when the iPhone came out. I was like, what is this thing? And then suddenly, 99-cent apps kind of surged the market, and people were like, $1,000 for software. What do you? Because that's what it cost at the time was $9.99.
Yeah.
Like, 99 cents is what I'm used to paying for software free. So that kind of was an interesting paradigm shift that I had to deal with. But yeah, mobile has taken over, and you walk around a tattoo convention now, and what do you see? You see the iPads.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's obviously the priority now.
Yeah,
so working on a new version of desktop, like I was saying, where I'm doing chip card support for credit card processing. That was a big thing that I had to get added.
Yeah.
And once this version's done, I'm going to kind of start focusing on the mobile side of things.
Yeah. If Rev23.com is where people would go to learn more.
Yeah.
Do and you guys, for you guys who watch the show regularly, we don't typically just like product push. Mostly we're an art-focused podcast, and the reason I asked Nate on is because enough people have mentioned Rev23 and what it did for their businesses, and we do. We're an art podcast, but we do a lot of business process systems talk. I'm kind of an entrepreneur. I enjoy talking about business, and any time that we do, I find that your name comes up more than anything else. On the business side, tattoo related, and especially I love people who are like, "Let me get photos with my." I felt just as ridiculous taking photos with people, so I'm glad we were on the same page there. But yeah, absolutely check Nate out. He's definitely dedicated to the industry. I can tell you that firsthand. And if I had a bigger shop, I would already be subscribed to Rev23. And when you come up with something that is good for a one-person shop, I'll be a customer.
You can,
I'd love to. I'd love to
get your feedback on it first.
Awesome, man. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate
man. Thank you guys as always. We'll see you next time.
Sweet. Thanks, man. It was fun.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good one. It's a conversation.